Please.
I made a big mess up here. I'm sorry.
Who do you have this afternoon?
Chris Howard and then John Meads. Just one moment.
Are you playing the videotape this afternoon?
No. Chris Howard, I'm also going to show that somebody was admitted. Okay. I'm ready, Aaron.
All right. It's playing with Jerry.
Standing for the jury.
Please come in and be seated. I'll be seated. All right, next witness.
Thank you. Your Honor, the state called Chris Howard.
You raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
Please be seated.
Good afternoon, sir. Can you state your full name and spell it for the court reporter?
My full name is Christopher Andrew Howard. Christopher. Christopher. Andrew. Andrew. Howard. Howard. I go by Chris.
How old are you, Chris?
I'm currently 24 years old.
Do you work or go to school?
Currently, I work. I graduated from Seattle Pacific University in June of this year.
June of 2016.
Correct.
What did you major in?
I majored in general engineering with a mechanical concentration.
What does a mechanical concentration mean?
It's a degree in mechanical engineering, but because of the accreditation process, that's how they had to work it in. So it's a mechanical engineering degree.
What does that mean you're qualified to do?
That means that I work on structures and forces analysis, heating and cooling systems, and things of that nature.
So what's your job?
My current job, I work at a deli. Just to pay rent. The job I hopefully do is as a mechatronics engineer. I've been involved in robotic systems, including firefighting. I've done some extraterrestrial astronautics. Following him, but Thomas came in through the kind of garage side door of the machine shop facing the canal that is next to campus. He came in and there was visible wounds on his neck, and he was calling out something about that to close the door behind him, and that there was, and mentioning something about a shooter, but I didn't realize the gravity of the situation at the time. But he came in and just told us to lock the door behind him, and that there was a shooter.
Were there other people in the machine shop with you before Thomas and this other person came in?
Yes. The person I remember I believe was Paris Adwadi, and some other people, I believe, but I do not remember their names or who they were.
But there were other folks in there?
Yes, I was not the only person.
Did anybody shut the door, or did you?
Yes. I was not the one who shut the door, but there is a push switch to close the door, and someone pushed that once Thomas and the other person were inside.
You said he had visible wounds on his neck. Can you describe what you mean?
At first I thought they were like a duck attack or something, just visible wounds with blood coming from them.
And so, did you say a duck attack?
We're next to a canal. There's ducks there, and I mean, you don't think of a shooting as the first thing. That's absurd.
Okay. What did the actual injuries look like to you at that moment?
Just small pockets of blood with a little bit of trailing. He was grabbing them, so there was a bit of smearing as well going on, but. Mostly the wounds I could see was on his neck, and just small marks of blood with a little bit of trailing.
So I think you said you grabbed a first aid kit, and at least at first attempted to help. Is that right?
Yes, I grabbed the first aid kit off of the wall. We have a nice first aid kit in the machine shop for occasional accidents that will happen there, and then I tore through it for gauze bandages, things of that nature, for treating, very, moderately to serious wounds.
And at some point, what was Thomas doing? I mean, were you helping him? Was he bleeding a lot, or did
I was mainly concerned about getting the medical supplies out and beginning that process. The other people in the shop were talking to Thomas and trying to get information as to what happened, what caused his situation, and just trying to suss out the information and calm him down at least a little bit.
And then I think you said you went to try to get help.
Yes.
Somebody more qualified.
Yes.
So where'd you go?
So directly in the machine shop, outside, there's one of the main hallways on the ground floor of Otto Miller. I went out to try and find someone with EMT training or someone of that nature who's qualified to handle wounds. And so I immediately left the machine shop and then turned left towards the majority of the building, at which point I saw Hannah and Sarah in the hallway to my left.
I think we have a little sense of it, but with the court's permission, can you step down and kind of draw the path you took? And so here's what I'm going to ask you to do is go ahead and sketch it out first,
okay.
And then when you're done, you can kind of step back so you can make sure everyone can hear and see you.
Okay.
Okay, why don't you step over to the other side, right? Step on this side.
Okay.
Make sure everybody can see and hear you.
Let's go ahead and put that.
And I hope you can explain that it doesn't look exactly like this is drawing.
It's not to scale.
1 minute, just for the record, this is State's Exhibit 63.
Okay. Will be admitted for illustrative purposes.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, so here, this is the ground floor, very roughly, of Otto Miller. There is the shop This is a garage door to the outside where the canal is. In front of it there's a hallway. There's also a hallway going this way and another hallway on the other side leading to kind of the lobby area. But so leaving the machine shop, I saw, I immediately turned left and saw Hannah and Sarah on the floor in this hallway. Left the shop between the lobby area and the shop.
Okay. Do me a favor and just write lobby and Hannah and Sarah so we can remember later. And I know you said it's on scale, but so is this hallway that much bigger than this hallway?
Absolutely not. They're the same size.
Okay.
I can attempt to do a better job.
No, it's fine. I just want to make sure we're understanding. And am I understanding you correctly? Basically, you just ran out, took a
Yes.
left, and there they were.
Yes.
You didn't have to go around the
No, I
Yeah.
immediately went out, and then Hannah called to me, and they were immediately obvious.
Okay, you can have a seat now. Thank you. So, tell us what you saw. You said you saw, I think you described her name as Sarah, is that right?
Yes.
Did you know her at the time?
No. I had not met her before this.
How about Hannah?
Hannah was a senior in the engineering program, and I had a class or two with her.
So you ran out and Hannah called for help, and tell us sort of exactly what you saw and did.
So Hannah was kneeling over the prone body of Sarah, and who was visibly bloody. And so Hannah called out to me and basically just told me to get over there right now. Help is immediately needed. And so I did. I turned left and rushed over there as quickly as possible. And at which point, it was immediately obvious that Sarah was in bad condition. There was blood on her chest, and at that point, I believe Hannah was trying to just get pressure on the injury and do the best with nothing in terms of medical supplies. At that point, Hannah told me to just kneel down and get Sarah's head on my lap to presumably ease breathing and other things that I'm not qualified to talk about in terms of medical first aid. But at that point, then Hannah was focusing on calming down Sarah, who was quite excited and distressed.
Let me ask you, so Sarah was awake, is that right?
Sarah was conscious and awake, yes. She was talking to us.
And you said she was quite excited and distressed. What do you mean?
She was just panicked and talking rapidly and freaking out that she was dying.
Is that what she was saying?
She was quite confident that she was going to die.
Other than sort of talking to her, what did you, and you kind of holding her head on your lap, what else?
Not Hannah, but Sarah's cell phone was there, and at her and Hannah's request, I unlocked the phone and started going through contacts and calling family members and whoever else Sarah would tell me to call, and all of them went to voicemail, unfortunately. So I also left voicemails saying that your daughter has been shot. Please call back as soon as you possibly can.
Were you still there when Sarah's mom called back?
I do not believe so.
So you left them at some point, is that right?
Yes.
Tell us, like, sort of, after making those calls, what happened? What did you do after that?
So I made a few calls, and then at that point, the university, like security guards, paramedic people, came through the hallway with their bags and came to basically relieve us of the treatment of Sarah. And so I was there for maybe a minute unpacking their bags of medical supplies, and I believe it was as many gauze bandages, just unwrapped them all and after I had done that, I saw that there's basically nothing more that I could do for Sarah, and I thought that perhaps someone wasn't as lucky as Sarah to have someone with her, as someone else could be hypothetically laying on the floor somewhere else in auto, bleeding out. And so I went to do a quick search of the building to try and look for other victims.
Had you heard any shots at any time?
No.
Between the time Thomas came in and you found Sarah, did you hear anything that sounded like shots to you?
No, I did not hear any shots.
Whereabouts in the building did you look for the victims?
From my position in that hallway, I went into the lobby where I saw John Meese, kneeling on and Gino kneeling on a man, and then after that I went up the stairwell that's in the lobby, and then back, searching the second floor, where I met up with Dr. Bolding, and then did a search of the top floor.
Let me ask you. You said you saw John, and I think you said Gino.
Yeah.
Who's Gino?
Gino is a large is a large person who is also a engineering student, full of character. But
do you know is that Gino his given name, or does he have another?
I'm not sure if it's his name. That's what everyone calls him in classes and from his professors. So that's what I know him as.
Do you know Justin Sarah?
That sounds familiar.
Do you know if Gino and Justin are the same person, or do you think you're just different people?
I do not know conclusively if they're the same people, but it sounds familiar.
Okay. So as far as you know, though, you saw John and Gino with somebody in the lobby. Is that right?
Yes. That is
Can you just tell us a little bit about that? About what you saw? Did you see what they were doing in the lobby?
So they were by the doors, kind of on the brick, and around the all of them was a halo of shells, shotgun shells on the floor. I remember also seeing a knife more towards where I was, and the situation seemed to be resolved. There didn't appear to be any struggling or any shouting or any. It seemed to be a controlled and resolved situation.
The person that was on the floor, did you see facial expression or hear him say anything or anything like that?
He seemed calm. It seemed defeated almost. It seemed like it was over and that he wasn't trying to resist actively or passively or resist at all.
So then you ran up the lobby, up the stairs.
Yes.
Okay. And you said you hooked up with Dr. Bolding?
Yes.
Did you find any other victims?
I did not find any other victims. The top floor was completely clear. All the hallways were abandoned. Everyone else, all the doors I knocked on were very smartly unanswered, except for the senior design lab that opened up to us, and we had a short conversation between myself and Dr. Bolding and the people inside, briefly filling them in a little bit on what was happening, and then we quickly closed the door, told them to stay put and stay silent, and continued our search.
So you were knocking on doors upstairs?
Yes, I was knocking on doors upstairs.
So people say they're inside and there was knocking on doors and they didn't know who it was. It was probably you?
That was probably me.
And they didn't answer?
They were very smart not to answer.
How did you get out of this? What did you end up doing? Or
after I did my search of upstairs, I went back downstairs, and at that point, the police, or there were men in uniforms with that were armed there. And at that point, I went to try and check back on Sarah and Thomas. And at that point, the police had controlled the lobby and had men stationed at the entrances to the hallways. And so I tried to nuzzle past them and they were quite surprised that someone out of uniform that they did not know was trying to get past them into an uncontrolled area. At which point they stopped me, told me to identify myself. At which point I did, and they were shocked and relieved, and just told me to sit down in the lobby and just wait. You know, someone will get my statement, etc., etc.
So then the police, no more running around. The police made you sit down and wait.
Yes.
Can't see hands.
You seen some pictures, Mark?
Oh, sorry.
Why don't you stand and stretch for a minute?
It's 864 just let me mark.
First, I'm going to hand you what's been marked for identification as 64 through 67. Can you take a look at those photographs and see if you recognize the area they depict?
Yep.
Is that the machine shop you've been talking about?
Yes, all of these depict the machine shop.
And so you move to admit 64 through 67?
Sure, admit it. And with the use of that.
So, Mr. Howard, we've seen some pictures of the machine shop, but I just want to run through these right quick. 64, where is that? Are we looking into the machine shop there?
Yes, that's a kind of rear stairwell looking into the machine shop.
And 65, that machine shop?
Yep, that's the interior. That's the garage door that you see in the back.
Okay, so that's the garage door. Is that the door that was open when Thomas and the other person came in?
Yes.
And the one that you guys closed afterward?
Yes.
Okay. And 66?
Yep, machine shop. You can see the doorway that was pictured in 64.
Okay, great. So that's the entrance into the door that we saw before?
Yeah, that's one of two entrances.
And then 67, is there another? Okay, so that's what I'm wondering. Where's the other?
The other, behind that black curtain, you can kind of see the wooden door there with the mechanism at the top, and that is the door that I exited in my story.
Okay. So you went out that door and took a left.
Mhm.
Okay. And now I'm going to hand you what's been marked for identification as 68, 69, and 70, and see if you recognize those stills. You certainly are aware by this point that there's surveillance video in Otto Miller Hall.
Yes.
And did you have an opportunity to look at just a little bit of video from the machine shop and hallway before your testimony today?
I did.
Okay. And did those pictures, 68, 69, and 70, accurately represent you?
Yes.
And the machine shop and you are in those pictures that day?
Yes.
Great. then the state moves to admit 68, 69, and 70. No objection.
You're admitted.
So we're now looking at 68. What are we seeing there? Who's in that picture?
In 68, you see myself in the gray, kind of the most towards the camera. You can see Thomas in the plaid, and then some other people as well.
Actually, can you just step down right quick, Mr. Howard, and point out yourself, Thomas, and do you see or do you remember the other person that came in with him?
So I am this figure. Thomas is this figure. And I remember someone coming in, but I don't remember who they were, or I don't think I have any relation to them.
Okay. Can you can have a seat. Thank
Okay.
you. Can you read for the record the date and timestamp on those? That's still.
The timestamp looks like June 5th, 3:24:51.015 p.m.
And now looking at the next photograph, which I believe is 69. And what's going on there? Is that you trying to help Thomas at that point?
Yep. You can see that the first aid kit has been taken off the wall and is put on the central tables there. And I am currently digging through it for medical supplies for Thomas, who is next to me.
That's just a few seconds later.
Yeah.
And what about 70?
In 70, you can see this is the hallway directly outside the machine shop. And at this point, I saw Hannah and Sarah past where the camera is in this photo, and I'm running to them.
Okay. So that's the hallway where you ultimately saw them?
Yes.
And if we see the just running around in the videos and we see it, that's you, right?
Yes.
Okay.
That is me.
And there's one more I had out. And I think it's already been admitted as State's Exhibit 41. And this is a still from the upper lobby and previously identified as Professor Bolding. Is that you with Professor Bolding?
That is me with Professor Bolt.
Okay. That's you up there knocking on doors or about to go knock on doors?
Yep. Right before.
That is all the questions I have. Thank you, sir.
Cross-examination.
No, you're on.
All right, you have those pictures, and you are dismissed. Thank you. Do you want to stand one more time and stretch before our last witness came up?
Next, the state calls John Meads.
Would you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
I
Thank you. Please be seated here.
Good afternoon, sir. Can you state your full name and spell it for the court reporter?
John Christopher Meese, JONCHRISTOPHERMEIS.
Just one moment, sir. There's some water next to you if you want. Okay. Mr. Means, how old are you?
24?
Do you live here in the Seattle area?
Yes.
Did you go to college?
Yes.
Where'd you go to college?
Seattle Pacific University,
When did you graduate?
June 2014.
What was your major?
Electrical engineering.
What do you do now?
I work as a test engineer at Boeing.
When you were at Seattle Pacific University, did you have a student job that you did as well as studying?
Yes.
What did you do?
For some time, I was a teaching assistant, and I was also a building monitor.
What is a building monitor?
It was a person who sat in a security room they had at the entrance, helped people find rooms if they were looking for them, or if they had any problems. There was also lost and found there. Answering questions like that.
So, and security desk monitor, is that the official job title?
I believe so.
Were you assigned to a particular building, or did the security monitor go to different buildings?
Yes, I was in Otto Miller Hall.
Is that where you studied primarily while you were there?
Yes.
So, you said you answer questions and lost and found, is that right?
Yes.
Were you actual security, or how does that work?
No, I was not actual security.
Okay. Kind of just there to be at the entrance in case people had questions.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me how that layout was in Otto Miller Hall. Where was the security desk or the building monitor desk?
As you enter the building, you go through glass double doors, and to the left between those two doors there's a window, and that window goes through to the room for the security monitor. After you go through the second door, there's a big open room. From there are two hallways, one on each side, and a staircase going up to the second level.
You actually had a little room, though, that you stayed in as the security desk monitor?
Yes.
Was it pretty busy? Did you get to study there? What was your shift like?
It was not very busy, other than when classes got out, you'd have a rush of people going through. I could study or sometimes read or other things.
You check people going in and out of the building?
No.
So it sounds like a pretty cush job usually.
Yes.
Okay. What shifts? How long did you usually work?
It was either a 3-hour shift from 3 to 6, or a shift from 6 to 9:30.
Which means, were you on campus when a shooting occurred in June of 2014?
Yes.
Were you working as the security desk monitor that day?
Yes.
Do you remember what time you got there, when your shift started that day?
About 3 o'clock.
Well, tell us what you recall from that day. What happened?
So I was working in that small room there. I was on my computer and I had headphones on. I noticed someone going through the door. I didn't think anything of it. And then I heard someone say, "Nobody move," in a fairly loud voice, and that caught my attention. And I looked out and saw a man holding a shotgun, several students with their hands up. And then I didn't really know exactly what to do. I knew that he couldn't see me, so I didn't want to make anything sudden happen.
And then while I was kind of standing there in shock, trying to figure out what to do, I heard a gun go off, looked up, saw students running away from that area down the hallways, and then I saw the shooter with his shotgun broken open, trying to reload. So I took pepper spray that I had in my backpack. I went out the door of my little office room, sprayed him in the face with it twice, and grappled a little bit, got the shotgun away from him. I took the shotgun and put it back in that office room, and then I was kind of staying in there figuring out what to do. I saw him crouched down. It looked like he was pulling something out. I thought it was probably a pistol or something. So I went and grabbed him from behind, and then it turned out he had a knife that fell to the ground, and I just held him there. And then another student came, and I yelled at him to get the knife away. He threw the knife several feet away and helped me hold him down. I think he took my cell phone and tried to call 911, but couldn't get through. And then we both waited there until the police or campus security eventually arrived, and they came in.
We sat there, okay. And we'll get back to there. With the court's permission, I'm actually going to have you step down. We've seen some different drawings of the building, but what I'm hoping is that you can draw kind of the lobby and your little office area. Is that all right?
Let's go through.
So, Mr. Reese, what I'm actually going to have you do, if you can sketch the lobby and the entrance and your office. Go ahead and do that, and when you're done, you can step back and we can explain it to folks, okay? Give me one sec. This is marked for identification as State's Exhibit 81.
Be admitted for lecture purposes.
Thank you, Your Honor. So why don't you stand back? They're going to make sure that all the jurors can see and hear you. So if you can go ahead and explain what this is, and maybe kind of, write down a descriptor so we can remember it later. Thank you.
Clarify that's Exhibit 71.
No, it's 81 because some other exhibits were pre-marked.
Thank you.
Before this one takes us to.
Trying to be efficient. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah, so this is the building. The main entrance here has double doors. There's this little area between the double doorway. These are all glass walls and glass doors. And then this is the office where I sat as the security desk. And some security office. Some main doors. Along this wall there is it's not all glass, but there's a window about halfway up There's a door to the security office here that is also glass.
What's this big
This-
rectangle?
There's kind of a lowered area here with tables and I think kind of a couch where students could work. And then
What's that?
this is, that should be maybe start around here, but there's a staircase that loops around and goes up to the balcony area.
Okay. Just in case we don't get that later, we just write staircase. Before you sit down, Mr. Meads, you had said that you'd seen somebody come in but didn't register, and then you saw a man with a gun, or you heard him say something first, correct?
Yes.
Okay. What is it that you heard him say? What brought your attention to this man?
He said either don't move or nobody move.
And then where was he when you first saw him?
He was right around this area here.
Can you just put an X? Okay. You can go ahead and have a seat. Thank you. Do you usually pay attention to sort of everybody coming and going? Would it have been unusual for you not to see him come in?
I don't always pay attention. If someone needed something, they'll usually knock and get my attention.
When you heard nobody move, what was the tone and demeanor of that comment? How loud was it?
It was pretty loud. If I remember, I think my door was open, but I did have headphones on, and I still heard it.
And then did you stand up and look? Is that what I recall?
I believe I did stand up at that point.
And what was he? Tell us exactly what you saw, how he was standing, and what he was doing when you first saw him.
So he had a shotgun aimed and kind of sweeping it back and forth throughout that room at the different students, threatening them.
Are you familiar with guns?
Yes,
If you knew it was a shotgun?
I did.
And what do you mean he had it aimed and threatening them?
He was holding it as you would if you were going to shoot it. He was pointing it at different students.
And you said, I think before, that he didn't seem to see you. Is that right?
That's correct.
What made you think that?
He never, from the point when I looked up, he never turned and looked over at me or seemed to know I was there.
As in your position as security desk monitor, are you trained, or did you have a protocol that you were supposed to follow at that point?
The only training that I received was that there was a panic button and a lockdown button, which would lock the doors.
So what did you think about doing those things, or what were you thinking about doing in that moment?
I did. I thought about the lockdown button, but he was already inside, so I knew it wouldn't do anything at that point. And then the panic button, I looked at it, and it had actually already been pulled. And once it's pulled, it locks so that it cannot be pulled a second time. So I did not try to pull it since I knew it was already pulled.
I think you said you didn't want to aggravate him. Is that right? What do you mean by
Yes.
that?
I didn't want to maybe startle him or do something that would catch his attention and cause him to even accidentally pull the trigger, or also see that I was there and possibly try to shoot me.
Had you heard any shots or anything that sounded like a shot before?
I did not.
You had your headphones in, right?
Correct.
Okay. Then you said you heard a shot.
Yes.
How long do you think it was between the time you heard the nobody move and the shot?
Probably less than a minute.
Did you see what he fired at?
I did not.
What happened at that moment?
So I looked up and then saw the students running away and saw him holding the shotgun and trying to reload it.
Describe what that means, that you saw and you knew he was trying to reload it.
He had it broken open. The barrels were hanging down, and I could see that he was trying to put more shells into it.
And then, at that moment, is when you decided to go out there?
Yes.
You said you took pepper spray, is that right?
Yes.
Is that something you always had with you, or was it part of the security desk monitor room?
It was my personal pepper spray that I just kept in my backpack usually.
When did you get the pepper spray out? After you heard the shot?
I believe that when I first heard him, I took it out and set it on the desk, and then after I heard the shot, grabbed it.
Later, you said later that the other person grabbed your phone. Why didn't you just call 911 at this point?
I was holding him with both of my hands.
I meant before that. I meant after the shot, instead of going out there and pepper spraying.
Yeah, I was kind of in shock and thought about it and really couldn't think to dial it.
From your experience with guns, did you know that you'd have a moment while he was trying to reload it, or did you just act without thinking?
I think I may have kind of known that I had a little bit. It also looked like he was fumbling and not really controlling it at that point.
Had he said anything since the time that you heard the shot go off and he was fumbling or trying to reload the gun?
Nothing I heard.
Did you hear anybody else say anything, or did you hear anybody else?
I don't remember hearing any actual words.
What does the pepper spray look like, the pepper spray you were carrying that day?
It is maybe 3 or 4 inches long. Kind of looks like a small pistol. It's a red plastic.
So it looks a little bit like the shape of a gun?
Yes.
So tell me about pepper spraying him. Did he see you coming? How did that work exactly?
I don't believe he actually saw me coming. I fired it twice at his head and saw him flinch in reaction to it. Yeah.
Mr. Meads, when you are pepper spraying him, where's the gun? Is he still holding it?
He was still holding it, yes.
Was it still open or was it shut at that time?
Don't remember if it was open or shut. It was definitely pointed kind of not the opposite direction from me, but not in my direction.
But when you chose to pepper spray him, he's still holding a gun in his hand.
Yes.
And I think then you told us that you took the gun away.
Yes.
Can you describe how that worked?
Yeah, after I sprayed him, I think I grabbed it with one of my hands and was kind of figuring out how to tackle him exactly or what, and then I realized this is the gun, I need to get it away. So I grabbed it away from him, and then didn't know what to do with it, so I took it and put it back in the other room where it seemed that no one would get to it.
Was it hard to get the gun from him, or did he just let it go at that point? He'd already been pepper sprayed, right?
Right. I think that he definitely tried to hold on to it, but I didn't have too much difficulty.
And then you went back out. You said he looked like he was reaching for something else. Is that right?
Yes.
Tell us what you saw and what you were thinking then.
He was crouched down, facing away from me, and it looked like he was trying to pull something out of a pocket.
What did you think it was?
I thought it was probably a handgun.
What did you do at that moment?
I ran back out and grabbed him from behind and held both his arms.
Was it a gun?
No.
Did you ever find out what it was?
Yes, it was a knife.
Did you take the knife from him, or what happened to the knife?
So it fell to the ground, and I did not do anything with it until that other student came.
Do you know that other student?
I I do not know him personally, but I recognized him
As a student?
as a student, yes.
So did you yell at him to come help, or how is it he got there and got involved?
Yeah, I saw him like, just out of the corner of my eye or something, and just yelled, "Hey, get the knife away from him."
And he did that?
Yes.
And then what did you two do together?
So I continued holding both his arms, and then the other student cleared out the pocket of his sweatshirt, which had several shotgun shells in it. And then, yeah, he tried to call 911, and then from there we waited, and I was holding him down. I don't remember if the other student was physically touching him, but he was there ready to help if needed it.
And he communicated before the campus security arrived.
Yes.
How long do you think all that took from the time you heard that shot until campus security arrived?
It's hard to say, but at least a few minutes.
Was there anybody else in the room that you saw during that period of time, or was it just you, this other student, and the person you tackled?
Yeah, I only saw the three of us.
Well, let me ask you, Mr. Meads, the person that you tackled that day, do you recognize him in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Is he sitting to the left of me?
Yes.
During the period of time that you and this other student are kind of keeping him there before security arrives, did he say anything to you?
Yes.
What did he say?
He said, "You shouldn't have taken the knife away from me. I was going to cut my throat."
Did you respond to that?
Yes.
What did you say?
I believe I said that wouldn't help anything now.
When did he say that?
That was in that period when we were waiting there before the officers showed up.
Did you ask him questions, or what prompted him to say that to you?
I did not ask him anything. He just said it.
What was his tone of voice, do you remember? Or his demeanor?
It was pretty quiet.
Did he say anything else to you or that you heard in that period of time before campus security arrived?
No, that was all I heard.
While you were waiting for campus security, was he struggling at all? Was he trying to fight with you or the other students?
No, he wasn't struggling.
Anything else that you sort of gleaned from him that he said or did that you recall during that period of time?
No,
Had you ever seen him before?
I don't believe so.
What about 15 minutes earlier that day? Do you recall seeing him walk in the building a little bit earlier before he came with a gun?
I don't remember seeing him.
While you were waiting with him and the other student in the lobby, at that point, did you ever see or hear anybody else that might be injured?
I did not see anyone.
And Ms. Meads, you're aware that a young woman was shot
Yes.
that day while you were there. Did you ever see her? You said you didn't see her get shot, but did you ever see where she was or what was going on with her?
I don't remember seeing specifically, but I saw several students leaving that area. And then I also saw a big blood pile on the ground. Puddle, not pile.
What about after campus security got there? What happened to you? What did you do?
So I let go of him, and I believe the security officer grabbed him. I kind of waited around there. More security, and it seemed like different police agencies kept showing up. I kind of waited there by tables, and I believe first the campus security asked me what happened, and I started explaining to them. And then the police asked me, I don't know if they specifically asked me what happened, but they asked me to stop telling campus securities because they were taking over. And then,
Were you just there in that lobby while all this is going on and the police are coming and security's there?
yes,
Was anybody that you knew sitting with you, or are you just by yourself and the law enforcement?
So at first I was there by myself, and then some of the teachers and students left or were brought out by the police, and I knew some of them.
Did anybody sit with you or talk with you while you were waiting?
Yes, so one of my professors, Dr. Bolding, stayed there, and I talked to him a little bit, and also one of my fellow students, Ryan Salgado, was there, and I told him what had happened.
We've heard from other students that maybe the responding officers were talking about a second shooter. People keep talking about a second shooter. From being in there, that lobby right then, do you know what they were talking about?
Yes, so I believe that they saw the pepper spray that I had, which is shaped a little bit like a gun, and I was holding it as I would a gun. And I believe they saw a video from that and thought I was a second shooter, or a shooter, which would have been two. At one point, one of the security officers grabbed my hands and said something like, "Hey, this was the other guy that we saw," or something.
In the video, thinking this is the other shooter. Did somebody clarify? Did you clarify?
Yes. I was kind of in shock. I don't think I said anything. And then the other student who had helped me hold him down clarified that I had pepper sprayed him. And then one of the police officers was asking me where the pepper spray was. They looked around, they eventually found it, and I said that, they asked me if that was it, I said that was, and then we were okay and let me go.
You said you were in shock. What do you mean by that? You mean real shock, or what was going on with you?
I think that I was in shock a little bit. I remember my hands feeling kind of tingly. I couldn't think what to say to them at first.
Did you, how did you end up getting out of there? Or how long did you have to stay at the scene?
I don't know exactly how long I was there, probably at least 10 or 15 minutes. There were some medics there. They came and cleaned me up. I had some pepper spray on me. I think they weren't sure if it was pepper spray or blood, so they wiped it off with some sort of solution. And then I think they saw that I was in shock and gave me oxygen for a few minutes, and then they decided to take me to the hospital to check me out there.
So you said the medics maybe thought the pepper spray was blood. What do you mean by that? What did the pepper spray look like?
It was kind of a red-orange liquid.
And because you pepper sprayed it, did some of it get on you?
Yes.
And was some of it sort of around that area as well?
I don't remember seeing it around the area specifically.
And so you say they actually took you to the hospital?
Yes.
For injuries or for shock?
For shock.
Did you get released from the hospital later that day?
I did.
You're going to have a few minutes to, I just have some pictures to show Mr. Meads, sorry. I'm going to hand you at the moment what's been marked for identification as States Exhibit 71 and 72. Can you take a look at those stills and see if you recognize that?
Yes.
So I assume you are aware that the Otto Miller Hall has surveillance, is that right?
I was vaguely aware, I didn't know anything specific about it.
You've certainly become aware since, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And are those stills depict you and part of what happened that day?
Yes.
And Your Honor, the state moves to admit 71 and 72.
You're admitted.
Mr. Reeves, I'm looking at States Exhibit 71. It's the same same photo you have in front of you. Can you tell the jury what's going on at that moment?
Yes, that is after I heard the shot fired and went out with my pepper spray, and that is either right before or right after I fired the pepper spray at his face.
So that's you in the shorts and no shoes,
Yes.
and in the act of pepper spraying the defendant.
Yes.
Mr. Meads, there's another person here, a woman. Do you remember seeing her at all?
I do not remember.
For the record, can you state what the date and timestamp on that still is?
Yeah. 14 June 05, 03, 25, 31.295 p.m.
You're now looking at State's Exhibit 72. Is that about 25 seconds later, is that correct?
Yes.
And what's going on?
That was after I believe that was after I had gotten the gun away from him, put it back in the room, and had thought he had a pistol, and gone back out and grabbed him. And I believe that was before the other student had come and taken the knife away.
So that's you holding him down?
Yes.
I'm now going to hand you quickly what has been marked for identification as State's Exhibit 73 and 80, and ask you to take a look at those photographs and see if they fairly and accurately depict the room you've been talking about, the security desk room, and the Auto Miller Hall that day.
73 through 80, right?
Correct. Thank you, Your Honor.
Yes, they do.
He answered your question.
Yes, they do. Give me 1 second. Then the state moves to admit 73 through 80.
No objection.
They are admitted.
I hand these back to you. What are we looking at in State Exhibit 73?
That is the looking through the door into the security office. And on the counter there is the shotgun that I put there.
That's where you put the gun?
Yes.
And 74?
And that's the same room, just at more of an angle.
Okay. And these are the windows you described before, sort of looking out into that entryway, is that right?
Correct.
And 75, that's the interior of that office?
Yes.
And I realize the evidence markers weren't there, but is that your computer where you were sitting and your backpack
Yes.
where you got the pepper spray from?
Yes.
And again, that's the gun that you took from the defendant?
Yes.
'76, is that right? 76? That's the entranceway?
Yeah.
So your office would be there to the left as you walked in?
Correct.
And 77? Is that one of the windows into your office?
Yes.
78, is that just that there's more windows along that line?
Yes.
79, does that kind of reflect how you, if you had stood up and looked through the windows or
sort of your vision if you're looking out the windows rather than the door of that little office?
Yeah.
And is out there in the lobby where you tackled the defendant and took the gun?
Yes.
And what about Amy?
That is the pepper spray that I used.
Okay. That's the one that was kind of shaped like a pistol.
Yes.
Mr. Meads, I don't have any further questions for you. Thank you.
Cross-examination. Thank you. Mr. Meads, you're all done. Thank you. Excuse me. Members of the jury, that concludes our trial day, so I'll ask you to be back tomorrow at 10 minutes to 9, where we will continue